Okay, hi traders, welcome to another quick update. We're just going to do some quick analysis. It's the end of the week, it's Friday 16th of April, it's nearly 11:30 London time. Just wanted to share a couple of quick things with you guys. It's been a bit of a choppy week, but it's been a good week. Made some money, just been patient really, and managed to make some decent returns in the end. Starting with the pound Aussie, this is the last trade we just took. So what we have here is, if we drill up to the weekly, you can see clearly based on that last swing high and low, we had a lovely 76.4% pullback. So our 764 strategy kicked in there to the pit pretty much, and it started going down. We had a bit of a choppy initial few days, which you probably see on the 1 hour, where price was just bouncing about a little bit and consolidating, but then it dropped. So the MT strategy starts to kick in, because what we say with the MT strategy is we're looking for the momentum. So here we start looking at the volume. This is our volume indicator. Start looking at the volume bars to turn bearish, to drop below the zero line, which is encouraging. We had a 38.2 pullback to 179.40, and of course we've got trend line as well. So we had trend line support, making multiple points of contact. So we had a good reaction off there. A couple of decent levels, a couple of different types of confluence supporting. So bounced off there, understandably. I was monitoring this bounce, so I put some fibs on it, and I took the high and the low, and I was just looking to see what sort of a retracement we get. And we apply what we call a 3 option rule, where I'm looking for it to retrace to the 38.2 or the 50%. Ideally, it could go up to the 618 or the 764. That's the first option, really, one of them levels being tested. But with the MT strategy, we're looking for a drop, a bounce, correction, to a pullback to one of these fibs, and then a drop, a continuation. So it's classic play. It did play it perfectly. If you want to learn a little bit more about the 3 option rule and understand it, you can always just send me a message and Telegram me, actually, at ALX_TYW to find out anything, any questions about anything at all. Feel free to get in touch. Always happy to help. So that was the play. So when it did that, we started shorting the pound Aussie, and then it back down to previous structure, but it tore through the structure, tore through support, fib level, trend line, just went through, kept going. So we started shorting it up here, taking it down to the 50%. And then with the Aussie news that we had overnight the other day, this week, we had a nice little pull back down below the 50. Came up but rejected. So I was like, okay, let's keep going. And I shared the last trade with everyone in the group yesterday, because I just felt that we're in a downtrend, and even if we're getting late, it doesn't really matter. Looking to get in at around 178, we're still going to take it down to 177.40. It's really quite structured. If you look at the levels, 179.40, $1.78.40, $1.77.40. I mean, that's pretty decent. And then we have a 176.16. So I was saying, well, if it can just break this and keep going, maybe we can get the drop and at least take it down to 176.20 area as a second target. So T1 was here for about a good 50 plus pips, a decent risk to reward. Stops on this now, it touched perfectly, stops at break even. So that's where we're at with the pound Aussie. Quickly moving to gold. Well, there's a bit of tension between Russia and America right now. So we see gold rallying. There appears to be a bit of a hedge into the weekend with gold, which is good. So we're seeing that bullish momentum. Got some key levels. Ultimately, if it does keep climbing, we're going to see how it reacts at that major trend line on the higher time frames. But also we have multiple levels on the way up. So 1772, which is just testing, and then we have going as far as 1776 to 1780. Breaking above that, then of course we can start looking for a little stab up to 1800, and ultimately looking at this fib 1829, which is the bigger picture. Now that trend line was just there as a rough guide, so not putting too much emphasis on that, but it has served its purpose quite well over the last few months. So I'm just using that as a guide to say, are we bullish or bearish? So bearish below, bullish above. So that's gold at the moment. So that continues to be a case of simply just buying the dips. Even today it went down to about 1760. You could have bought it back up for a good 100 pips. Moving on to the other pound pairs. So pound dollar has been consolidating off the back of some decent movement to the downside, consolidating all week. Today around 7:20 London time we had that break and it dipped down. What I did is I put a couple of fibs using this low and this low, and what it gave me was a 764 of this range overlapping nicely, giving us a nice fib cluster sitting on top of the 61.8 of the entire range. So I thought, okay, let's short it until it gets down to about 137.20, and then once it does that, then we'll decide what it wants to do next. But we'll take it to there first, and sure enough it went down, and then London opened, we had a reversal, and so we stabbed down, left a massive wick. And that is often how we see things develop with the pound dollar. Cable can be like that, really quite fickle in terms of movement, so leaving large wicks like it's done pretty much a couple of times this week, and more importantly we've closed above the trend line, so we still haven't confirmed if we're going to see further downside until it crosses back over. But at the moment we're bouncing off that area. So that was the play. Took some money. Remember Friday, I coined Friday, I nicknamed it Friday Scalp Day. Don't want to make all my money on a Friday. Just want to take a little bit and not have to worry too much about it. So that's what we did. That was the play. Same situation with pound yen. So pound yen, you can see we shorted it until we got to the 76.4. That's still proving to be the line in the sand. We tried to break below it and we bounced off it and bounced back up. So similar price action. Daily, again showing you that we're just sitting at that key support. If it can properly break this support, then yeah, we'll start looking for 148.50. But more so, I'll be interested in the fib extension levels down around 147.20 area, with the emphasis maybe taking some profit at around 147.30. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. That's still the current play. So that's all good. Just going to finally a couple of pairs and the Dixie to show you. So we've got pound New Zealand. I used pound New Zealand as a confluence. I was tempted to take another short on this alongside the pound Aussie, but instead I just opted to use it as a confluence to say, okay, if that gets down to the 50%, which it did and touched it perfectly, and now it's bouncing off. At the same time, I expect pound Aussie to reach target, so which it did. So really good price action. Euro dollar is at a key area. You know, we've got this supply and demand zone right here. Just waiting to see how it reacts at this level. But MT strategy is telling us that we've broken above the 38.2, and so it's bullish to 120, 120.26. So that's the upside target on euro dollar up here, because it's going to use the MT strategy, which one of the classic entry points is at the 38.2. You could have gotten in a lot sooner. So if you drill down, we had lovely higher lows being made here, good structure, and on the third or fourth attempt it just bounced off it, said yeah, we're going long. So that was, I did say to my traders, long to 119.50 as the first target. It's done that, and you can see the way price is now coming back to test this area and is using it as support to potentially launch itself a further upside into the weekend. So that's the play on euro dollar. The reason I show you the euro dollar is because it moves highly correlated with dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss is pointing down, and that's tearing on down through the 38.2, which is potentially giving you an MT strategy, breaking 92 round number. Really nice bounce off it, but it's now through it, and potential this has scope to actually just sell off and drop all the way down to 91.15 as the next level of interest, based on this last swing high and swing low. And what else ties in with dollar Swiss? Well, it's positively correlated with the Dixie. So the Dixie is doing exactly the same. We were saying above 92 it was bullish, so we had dollar strength where it rallied, and then it's rejected,
tested it 3 times and broke 92. First target was 91.80. It's torn through that, so now we are looking for back to 91.30 as the 50% of this last range. And just to put this into perspective, similar price action, similar story if you like, as we saw on pound Aussie. You know, so the last swing high and the last swing low, where did it go? Well, it retraced perfectly to the pip to the 76.4. Tested that perfectly, bounced off it. Doesn't get any better than that. Also, as an additional confluence, I used the last swing high and the last swing low. So it swung up, pulled back to previous structure, found some support and rallied. And so I used the fib extensions, and where did it get to? It got to my lovely little fib zone up here, 161, 176 extended levels. So it was a good confluence area to short from. Again, using the dollar index, I don't trade it, but use it as a confluence to help me with my other trades. And so yeah, dollar weakness, and we are now looking for 91.30s as the next target. There's even scope potential for it to do a hard sell down to the 61.8, which sits around 90.80, so just below 91. So that could be the next actual play down here, and then more so 90.20, 764. So it's got plenty of scope. Again, that is nicely correlated with euro dollar, so expect euro dollar to keep going up providing this goes down. And you saw the positive correlation with the dollar Swiss as well. So crossing over with the volume as well here on the higher time frame. So this is a daily. So yeah, hopefully this information helps you, helps provide some guidance and some targets, and have a great weekend.